Hello folks, this is Juan from the Digital Photo Experience, and I wanted to give you a couple of tips on shooting with a monopod. But first, let me tell you the reasons why you may want to use a monopod. One of the most obvious reasons is because it packs a lot lighter. It's a lot smaller and weighs a lot less than a tripod, and when you are limited in the amount of gear you can take with you, a monopod may make a lot of sense. Reason number two is because the venue or the location that you're shooting may not allow a tripod. In a lot of those cases, a monopod is permissible, and that may be a sports venue or zoo, museum, indoors. So always think about, if you're not allowed to bring a tripod, could you use a monopod instead? And the reason number three is if you were in a shoot and run type situation where you were on the move quite a bit, tearing down and setting up a tripod may not be the best solution. It may take too long. I'll be right back with some tips on using the monopod. Okay folks, here are the tips on shooting with a monopod. First thing is to always use a ball head. I like to use a ball head, not mount the camera or the lens directly onto the tripod or the monopod. What that does, it gives you a lot more flexibility in the way that you can shoot and adjusting your rig for different shooting conditions. Tip number two, and probably the most important tip here, is actually not to shoot with the camera right on top of your monopod like this. When you have the camera right on top, this does, it brings your entire rig center of gravity pretty high up, pretty much where the camera is. It makes the whole rig hard to control and a little bit tippy. So what I do is, and this is where using the ball head becomes an advantage, is I drop the ball head in one of the notches and I set up this sort of cantilevered position. This lowers the center of gravity of your whole rig just down below where your camera is. It makes the whole rig a lot more stable and a lot easier to use. A lot of people complain that when they're using a monopod, the whole thing is a little unstable and tippy. By doing this, you will find that the whole rig is a lot easier to use. Tip number three is to set up a nice and stable and solid position with your legs, almost like setting up a tripod using your two legs and the monopod leg, and pressing with your forehead onto the viewfinder. What this will do is set up a much more stable platform for you and absorb a lot of the vibrations. You'll notice that the image through your lens will become a lot more stable. And the last tip is always to mount your lens to the ball head on the monopod. Don't mount the camera itself. If you can, if your lens has a foot on it, I would mount that. And the reason is because it makes it really easy to be able to shoot both landscapes and portraits. I hope those tips help you next time you go out shooting with your monopod. Hello folks, I gave you a couple of tips on shooting with a monopod and when to use a monopod versus a tripod. But I wanted to take a few seconds to tell you a little bit about the monopod that I've been using lately. And this is a recent model from Jobu Design. It is model MCF 284. As you can see, it has three leg sections, has a nice comfortable foam pad to hold from where you hold it, has a nice rotating strap to keep your gear nice and secure, and it is made out of carbon fiber. Even though it's made out of carbon fiber, it's still a lot cheaper than most other carbon fiber monopods that you'll find out there. I like to use carbon fiber for a number of reasons. One is because it's very lightweight. Two, because it doesn't absorb the heat from your hand when you're holding it, making it more comfortable to use in cold weather conditions. Plus, carbon fiber absorbs vibrations a lot better than aluminum or any other metal type like material. You can always find a lot of this equipment, including this monopod, on outdoorphotogear.com. And I look forward to seeing you on dpexperience.com. Take care.